G'day friends, welcome to today's YouTube video. My name is James, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I have my self timer here. This video is due today, so I'm putting myself on a time limit. Here's the tea. I had a whole other video, I just didn't get around to editing it this week because I've been working on a lot of Virtual Voyage stuff. Anyway, that's boring. So I'm gonna film this today, and I'll use the other video another time, but I wanted to just do 40 minutes, just straight 40 minutes, journaling, real time, just chatting with you about anything and everything. Hopefully I've got my filter on today, and we can just have a great time. So I'm gonna set my timer for now for 40 minutes, and that way, I'll be able to get this video to you today. I'm going to put it over there so I can see it. I've got my Wheneverly journal here. I'm going to just be journaling in this like I would, pretending that it just told me. My phone just told me I have a parcel pending and I have been waiting on something. Of course it happened right now. It's fine. I'll get it later. This is my Chic Sparrow, OUTLANDER, Fraser Red in A5. Such a beautiful journal. I've had this for a couple of years now, I think. And I use it when I travel, and I use it for my Wheneverly journal. There's some beautiful pockets in here, even at the back. Actually, I've got all this junk in here I should probably take out, just in case I want to use any of it. When I work in this, I do tend to take the journal out, just because I don't want to get the cover too wrecked. I mean, I'm not precious with it, but also it's easier to turn the book around and everything. This journal itself is a Midori MD notebook, and it is A5 size. Wow, sorry, my brain is really slow today. I am feeling really upbeat. I thought that would just translate. This is an MD paper journal A5. This is from the 10th anniversary collection, which came with 10 different notebooks, and they all had different interiors. So this is the dot grid. Quite a generic kind of a notebook interior, if you ask me. But anyway, I ran out of the other ones that I really do like to use. I love the large grid, which used to be my sketchbook, and kind of like throw and glue it all in their journal. And I had the white grid for my off-camera journal, and I also had the kind of grid and margins for my last one of these faux Bonichis. I'm not going to go through all that story again, but just so you know, I used to do weekly faux Bonichi, which then turned into like whenever, like faux Bonichi, so then I just called it Wheneverly. And this year I've just decided to do a Wheneverly, so you can see that this is from January. I think this is from January as well. And then we go into February. I think I was doing well, January, February, and then it just kind of fell into, so February, March, let's see. Oh yeah, okay, so March, April, May, and June is all kind of here. It's not a bad thing. I mean, it is a Wheneverly journal, right? So I can always just come back to it. But I tend to glue stuff in here and process my thoughts out in here. So the last thing I was processing was taking a break, which I actually obviously did from this. So I tend to put 2 pages together, and only when they're finished, but there's the majority of this is kind of finished. So I'm going to use my tape runner and just tape those together now. I don't want to put too much glue over everything because I don't know why, but I like the pages to have like a little bit of flexibility, because sometimes they buckle a touch, and I don't want anything I do on the page behind it to kind of ruin the page in front of it. Which usually I would actually, I don't know why I did that. Usually I would typically work on them, like those two separated, I'd work on these, especially if I wanted to use Copic markers. That was the reason I did it in the first place with my old journal. And then I realized it actually just made the pages nice and sturdy. And since I was gluing things in, like putting a lot of collage pieces in here, especially really thick ones from cardstock, I couldn't actually do that to every single page without the journal just bursting. So using every second page worked really well for that, and I had no ghosting or anything coming through. But yeah, I would actually keep that separated until I was finished, because if I wanted to use Copic marker on this, I could put some paper behind it and draw on top, and that way it wouldn't bleed. But it might bleed now. But I won't do that. I'm going to look through all these pieces of paper and see if I can glue something down. There is no rhyme or reason for today. I've got everything accessible to me, like paints and water and a heat tool and everything, but I'm not really quite sure what I want to be putting in there. I might not use any of it. I even have a square stencil over here. I don't know why, but I was really feeling squares. Like a whole border of squares of something. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe I'll do that. Do you know what I have? No, I can't use them today. It's alright, I'm not going to tell you. I could stamp as well, but I am liking this little square idea. Or, what if I just did a whole page of collage? I'm not quite sure. Let me put some squares on here, because then I'm going to keep the squares free for some writing space. And then I'll just decorate all around the places that are outside of these squares. I'm going to do them pretty random too, I think. I mean, there's grid, so I could have just used the grid, but why not? I've got the stencil. I may have done this before, actually. I feel like I have done this before. It's all coming back to me now. With those summer dolls. You know those, like, the corner pieces stamp set? I swear I did something like this in my last journal. Well, that's boring. It's boring that I'm repeating it, but I'm allowed to repeat it again. Yes. I had a conversation with Steve about that before. I have this weird aversion to repeating an idea because I think people are going to think it's so boring or that I've completely run out of ideas. So I try not to do too many things twice. I mean, a technique for sure, but like an actual idea to do it twice seems like like it's not encouraged on YouTube, which is of my own making. No one has told me that. I definitely made that up in my head. But it's in there. Alright, I need a glue stick. What else have I got over here? Sorry about my creaky chair. It's just what I have to deal with today. Need some WD-40. Alright, is everything in view? I should have checked. 7 minutes in and I've done nothing. See, this is how slow it goes. I mean, I know I'm chatting. I like to glue on a piece of paper, a scrap piece of paper, so that I can glue all the sides, and that way I have nothing curling up. People often ask if the glue that I'm using is will like stand the test of time, and like sometimes it doesn't, honestly, but you have a better chance of even like this cheap, this is like no-name brand Up and Up disappearing purple glue. You have a better chance of it sticking if you catch all the sides, which is why I like to print my photos on sticker paper, because then all the sides are glued down as well. The thing that'll kind of like lift up your glued pieces more than anything isn't kind of bad glue, it's just the fact that there's a corner that'll keep pulling. I mean, I guess bad glue won't help, but do you know what I mean? Alright, I've got so many bits and pieces here. So curious. This is kind of heavier cardstock, so I'm going to use the tape runner for that. I don't have any hard and fast rules about what I use for what, but generally thinner pieces of paper. I'll use a glue stick. I use matte medium sometimes, this Liquitex matte medium for like collage pieces, but it does kind of make the page bulk up a little bit, because everything is just, I don't know, it feels a lot heavier when I use this, and there's so much water content in this matte medium that, because it's a fluid medium, even the other one though I noticed this as well, there's not a ton of like water content in this glue stick, so it doesn't buckle or crinkle the pages, which I don't mind when I'm watercoloring, but I do have a problem with it when I'm gluing, because I like to have everything flat, like I said, like nothing peeling up, nothing popping up, and, pardon me, if I can't get it flat to the page, it tends to make me a little upset. So, I tend to use a glue stick for paper, unless I'm doing collage and I don't mind that it gets a little heavy and bulky. Now, I would cut this off so that I could keep my square, but only you and I are going to know that I'm covering the bottom of this square with this photo, and I can't be bothered cutting it. It's creative problem solving. So this is a bit of a de-stash project, I guess. This one I might need to cut. I can just eyeball it. Is that good? A little bit more. I'm not too fussed if it's not perfect. It's got to go over that corner as well. I probably should have left some of that on. I can use washi tape too, I guess. Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a de-stash project. So I guess if you have lots of square pieces of ephemera, or scrap pieces of paper lying around, this might be good for you to try. I feel like that fits perfectly, Kim. There we go. I like to get my nail and crease it into the fold, and then I also like to fold it over as well, the way that it is going to be folded in the book, because sometimes it'll pull back on itself and you realize you have to push it even further in there. That way you get a nice crisp center fold, and you really don't want too much bulk in the center because it's going to pull on that binding. I feel like I'm explaining the obvious to you today, but just in case you're new to art journaling and you've accidentally stumbled across this very random video, I might share some of my techniques with you. So how are you doing? How are you going? I'm doing well. I have the Wizarding Artists Society this afternoon, which I'm really excited about. I'm teaching a lesson called Blooming Sketches. Wow, this is never going to come off. I love printing my photos on stickers, but if I can't get them off, or you see all the corners of my photos have like little paw marks at them. I'm teaching a lesson called Blooming Sketches, which I'm really excited about because it feels very magical to do it, which is kind of it's kind of what I search for when I'm doing my Wizarding Artists Society journaling. I've been having a ball with that too. I've been loving looking at everyone's stuff and getting super inspired. There's some really, really, really creative ideas floating out there at the moment from a lot of the students, and I am here for it. So let's put this here. I could glue this and cut it later, but I think I'm just gonna risk it and cut it now. Like, have that overhang just stay there, but I don't know. I'm not feeling that for me. Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of Virtual Voyage work as well. For those of you who don't know, I'm starting a new experience next week called Virtual Voyage. And it is... I said it was my replacement for Patreon once upon a time, which I think was... It gave everyone the wrong idea that I was going to do what I was doing on Patreon again. I don't really want to be on Patreon anymore. I don't know, I just kind of like... I've just fallen out of the vibe of Patreon, I think. I figured that I could do it like kind of more exactly what I wanted without Patreon. I thought I needed it, and then I guess what I'm saying is I found out that I could do it without it. So I'm doing it on my Teachable, which is great. The content's a little more secure on Teachable than it is on Patreon, which I didn't have too much of a problem with before, but it is always a bit of a worry that people can just like access it and, you know, make a playlist and then suddenly all of your private videos are suddenly public. It was always kind of in the back of my mind, because I know it's happened to some people before. But I'm going to try and cut this so that it... Have I got it right? I don't know where this is supposed to go, hang on. Gotta concentrate. I'm going to try and cut this jigsaw piece. Oh, this is... What am I doing? Is that it? Is that what I wanted? Like that. Oh, then this has got to come across here. And this here. I should measure these things, but you can see I obviously do not care. Let's see if that's the piece. This is honestly how I do most things. Oh, there you go. That fits enough. Doesn't really look great, but we can use that somewhere else. We can use this somewhere else too. So anyway, yeah, Virtual Voyage, I'm super excited about because it's nothing like I've ever done before. Each individual part is like something I've done before. Like I've done a blog post before, I've done a podcast before, I've done a live workshop before. But putting it all together as a part of one experience and the fact that it's themed, I'm super excited about. So, we're starting that on Monday. Is the 29th, is it? Today's the 26th. What's today? What is today? It's not going to tell me because I've got a timer on. Well, I'm pretty sure, whatever the 29th is, that's Monday, I'm sure of it. Maybe today's the 26th. 27th, 28th, 29th. It is. I'm crazy. Pardon me. So we're doing that on Monday, and I'm very excited about that. Just something new to try. And our first week is themed to Alice in Wonderland. And it's all like cruise ship themed. So we're going on a voyage, and we're going to our ports of inspiration. And those are the kind of like the destinations we're going to. So those are the themings. The themings? Toying with the theme, Kim. The first one is Alice in Wonderland, which is always a nice inspiration to use. Steve was asking why lots of art journalists use Alice in Wonderland as inspiration, and I couldn't speak for everyone, but I'm under the general impression that it's Wonderland. Like, it's all make-believe, it's all imagination. Anything can be anything in Wonderland. And it all kind of looks a little cute, so I don't know if there's something in that, but Wonderland itself just seems pretty open for interpretation, which I think a lot of art journalists really enjoy. I know I do. Let's see if I can fit this one up here. Oh, perfect. Our second week, so it's 4 weeks total. I don't know why I'm explaining all of this, but just in case you hadn't heard of it, because I drip information out. I know some people miss bits and pieces, but our first week is Down the Rabbit Hole, which is Alice in Wonderland. Our second week is Fathoms Below, which is The Little Mermaid, which I love. Our third week is Avant Garden, which is themed to Christian Dior's garden. So, something a little like this, if you will. And the fourth week is Over the Rainbow, which is The Wizard of Oz. Obviously, had to throw my favourite in there, and that'll be so close to my birthday that yeah, I wanted to treat myself to a bit of Wizard of Oz before my birthday. Luckily, I've got lots of these strips of ephemera just waiting to be used in this. So I'm really excited about that because it's new, and what's not to love about a new experience. I mean, I've never participated in anything like that before. Actually, I shouldn't say that, not anything like that. I have done an online workshop before, like a live online workshop. I did the Muggle art studies. That was super fun. That was with Art Journaling the Magic, the same group I'm doing. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Ah, I'm gonna sneeze. It's gonna be bad. Tissue. Tissue. Sorry. I just realized I said that on camera. The secret's out! I say tissue after I sneeze. I don't actually need one, but when I was younger, every time I would sneeze, my mum would say, "Tissue, baby, tissue." And I thought that was the response to a sneeze. And now I've developed this really weird habit of saying it. I know that I say it too, and I know that I could not say it, but I feel really uncomfortable when I don't say it. I feel like my sneeze isn't finished. Does anyone have one of those, like, weird... Believe me, I don't think it's cute, but I know I've been accused of putting it on before. It feels uncomfortable. I also have a weird thing about punch buggies, Volkswagen Beetles. I have to just like hit myself on the leg and say the colour. I don't know why. Does anyone have a weird tick like that? They're both from childhood. The punch buggy was a bit more obvious than the tissue. But I thought I might just get personal with you there. No one really questions me about it, but just in case you do, I know I get a lot of random questions about things on YouTube. So yeah, the fourth week is Over the Rainbow. And I think I just stuck this. Oh no, that's not the right way up. And yeah, so we're having live themed parties, like live theme nights each week that are themed to the week. So I already have my costume for the first one, and I'm getting my costumes ready for the second, third, and fourth. I was dealing with one thing at a time. But yeah, the down the rabbit hole costume I have is so over the top. I'm actually just so excited to turn that Zoom stream on and have people see what I look like. I put Steve in charge of the costumes and I just said, look, here is what I want you to do. Surprise me. And he did not disappoint. Maybe I can stick this in somewhere. So I have these random little bits of paper, but I like these ones because I could put some little writing on these ones. This one's a little more nondescript. Let's do that. Or do I want to do it that way? Maybe I want to do it this way? Let me use the pencil. That way I don't have to stress about it so much. Oh, and then if you're wondering what the actual course is about, because that would be helpful if you had no idea what I was talking about. It's about art journaling. It's about just getting creative, being guided through the creative process and learning new techniques, new skills, new tips, new tricks. The one thing, I was kind of talking about this before. I did the Muggle art studies with Art Journaling the Magic. The one thing that I loved about that so much was that it was over 3 nights, and honestly, that's just never long enough. I just wish they would go forever. Sorry, Tanji. But I love that it was live because you do it all. You do it all there. Like there's space in your day carved out for it. There's a time set aside, and you're intentional about it. I notice a lot of the times, unless you're like very disciplined, self-study can be. It can be easy to get out of. I'm not going to say people don't want to do it. I think people really do want to do it, but I think it can be easy to not prioritize or to, just find yourself not doing it. I don't know. I don't really know why everyone's reason is different, but yeah, with self-study, I've noticed a lot of people that do my courses online, if they've really set aside the time to do it, they'll get it done, but they have to commit to it. And that's what I say, like, please don't just buy a course if you're not committed to it, because I feel bad. I feel bad when people don't finish. I know that's not really up to me, but I still feel bad about it because I want you to get your money's worth, right? But you do have to kind of commit. But with the lives, you're actually just committing that time because you're already there. You're already online. So if you're online and you're sitting at your desk, I mean, what else are you doing, right? I guess you could be in the chat. You could still find a way to procrastinate yourself out of it, I guess, but it's less likely. And I've noticed that, especially through the live streams that I've been a part of with Art Journaling the Magic, it is nice to have that time set aside. Specifically, you're intentional about it, and people seem to get a ton done. I did my first live workshop was a test hangout that I put on my blog, and we did an Alice in Wonderland. We did an Alice in Wonderland piece. Like kind of just going through, doing the watercolor and doing it from start to finish. And it was really, really fantastic to see how far people got through that. Considering we were only on there for like about an hour, I think. And people had done like full watercolor illustrations, like a full page in their journal. And for some people, that's a really big thing. Like, I remember when I first started, I used to spend days prepping one page because it had to be perfect. It had to have all the journaling elements that I thought you had to have in a journal page. These were back in the days when I was watching all the Ranger videos on YouTube from the CHA demos, and I thought every journal page had like a specific set of things I had to accomplish, like a background with paint, layers, and it had to have at least 1 or 2 stencils over the top, like 1 or 2 stencil layers. And then it had to have images and text. And so all of my journal pages kind of look like that in the beginning. And pardon me for a second, I'm just going to grab a tissue. I guess I did need that tissue. But yeah, it's nice to have that space in your day carved out for it. And then especially nice to have other people that are doing it along with you. like to have a whole community to share that with, I think that was super special as well. So, having been through that experience with Art Journaling the Magic, I can say I have done something like this before. I have participated in something like this before. Although I am expanding this over 4 weeks, not just a few days. And that's only because I wanted to do a ton of different themes. I'm going to obviously evaluate how this goes, like with everything I've done before, like with Patreon. I'll sit down and do my evaluations once it's finished. My pros and my cons. But I think it should be good. The only thing I could think of is, like, I would just change the themes next time. If I like it and I do it again, I could just imagine myself changing the themes, or... Because the way I've laid out the content, I feel like, I mean, it's very intentional, but I'm trying not to overload everyone with everything that I've got in my head. Because I don't want anyone to feel like they've really fallen behind. There will obviously be things that people will have to go back and like make some time for later. Like, I don't know if anyone's going to be able to actually finish absolutely everything as it happens. I know I will, but I'll be devoting my whole month to it, right? So not expecting anyone to get through as much as I've gotten through. But, I mean, I'll be super impressed if someone does. But that's the beauty of having it on Teachable, is that it's available after the fact as well. So once I closed Patreon before, like, you can't access anything, and I had to go and upload that somewhere else. Ironically, I uploaded it to Teachable now, so they're available. All the old Patreon experiences are available on Teachable, but now I just decided, like, let's just do it on Teachable then. That way I can avoid all the extra Patreon fees. And Patreon's rolling out sales taxes for people's pledges now, which I'm kind of like... I'm not quite sure exactly how they're doing that. I keep getting the notifications because I'm still subscribed to their mailing list, but like as a creator, even though my page isn't open. So they've been warning me for months that I'm supposed to be telling my patrons about sales taxes, but I don't have any patrons because I closed the account. I'm going to use this sparkly highlighter to go around all these edges that I haven't filled in, just to really bring attention to them. Yeah, I just don't want to do it on Patreon anymore. I also feel like, oh, I should probably stop talking. I'm so unfiltered when it comes to Patreon. Sometimes I just really run my mouth, and that's kind of how I got myself in that mess to begin with. I sometimes feel like people have a preconceived notion about Patreon, which honestly, I can say sometimes it's very understandable why people feel the way they do about it. Not just for the site, but for Patreon creators in general. And I think specifically for our art journaling kind of mixed media community, I know we don't all fall under the same umbrella, but a lot of the times as consumers of the same people, and we all kind of run in the same peer groups, right? So you just assume that we know each other really well and that we all kind of talk, even though we don't. Like, some of us do, but you know, I don't really... All of this to say, I used to get compared a lot in Patreon, and it would really bother me because I didn't think I was anything like the Patreon experience I was being compared to, and I was kind of trying to figure it all out as I went, and I figured that my Patreon experience should be judged against what I had set out for it. Which is, you know, easier said than done when people have a preconceived notion about Patreon and what the value is of it and what they should receive and how they should receive it. And then you obviously had the stigma of like going to Patreon, people will either think you're a sellout, or they'll think that you don't want to do content for free anymore, or that you've like abandoned a loyal following. Which, you know, I mean, in some parts, I understand how those things happened. I've discussed all this before. This is a bit more candid of a chat, sorry. Also, please just, I apologize in advance if my candor is a little too straightforward. I have been told. I understand, though. I think some of that comes in with people saying and having the very best of intentions to say, like, well, you know, I'm going to Patreon, but don't worry, like, I'll still do YouTube videos, and then that doesn't happen. And that happened a lot it happened more often than not, I found, anyway, with the creators that I was following. And so I think maybe it would have been better just to say nothing, but, you know, hindsight is 20/20, and I'm sure those creators had every intention of making videos. But all of that to say, before I'd even started, I encountered a lot of expectation issues. I'm not going to call them problems, because they weren't really a problem for me. I just had to make sure I was very clear about my expectations from the beginning and my intentions. And I felt like that helped me a little bit, but all of that to say, it was just the fact that I said Patreon. Like, it could have been, I could have said, oh, I was doing an online course, and I don't think I would have had to be accountable to the same things I had to just because I said it was Patreon. But it was half my own fault anyway, 3/4 my own fault, I think, because I ran my mouth about it the year before. So let's really not get carried away with ourselves. I am fully aware that I ran my mouth about it. But I'm happy that it's on Teachable. That is where I'd prefer to be anyway. I'm very familiar with it. This is looking pretty done, but I think I want to put some stickers on it. I have this whole bunch of stickers here. So I'll be doing that. And I'm excited for everyone that's going to come along for that journey. I think I'm just going to put these stickers on there because they're kind of transparent and fun. Oh, these are cute. But yeah. So I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you're looking forward to it as well if you're joining us. We have a ton of people that joined already and it hasn't even started, so that makes me feel good. And like there's a lot of good pressure on me. I think one of the funniest things is I have this conversation with Steve and he's always like, oh, it's like, what are you worried about? What are you worried about? And I said, well, I'm not really worried in a sense, but I said, like, you realize that even if 2 or 3 people sign up, like, I'm still liable to do all of the things I said I would do. Like, I can't just change the experience if there's not enough people. I mean, obviously I could just cancel, but I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't do that. I feel like when I commit to a fault, and I would just do it anyway. So I'm very thankful that people sign up and that want to play along and experience it, because there is that part of, I think it's a part of everyone, to be honest, that just worries a little about having bitten off more than you could chew. Putting these little stickers in the corners of these boxes just to really accentuate them. I better have something good to journal in here, even though it's such a tiny space. It's fine. I'm glad I could use all of these little bits and pieces. Please give this a go as well if you would like. It's a super simple idea, but it's a nice little de-stash project. I don't mind, what do you call it? I forgot again. I keep forgetting the term. I think it's scrap lift. If you're a scrapbooker and you copy someone else's thing, it's called scrap lifting, I think. Do the journaling equivalent of that. Journal book lift. Doesn't quite have the same ring to it, if that even is the term, which I'm not sure it is, to be honest. Anyway, so I'm really feeling excited for all the things that we have coming. And I've probably done a poor job explaining it, because my mind's been in 25,000 different places. But today I'm purely focused on doing this video for you, because I just wanted to check in and say hi. And I guess it was good to give it a bit of a candid chat, since I haven't really explained a ton of a Virtual Voyage. It's kind of just so new for me. I'm kind of waiting to see what it all looks like and turns into as well, to be honest. And I joke all the time saying, like, I don't even know what I'm doing. But in some respects that's true. I have an outline. I have a schedule to work towards, but things change all the time. The first time I hopped on Patreon, I had exactly what I wanted to do on a bunch of different schedules, and asked me if I even completed half of those things. at the time that I made that schedule, it made complete sense to me, and I was like, oh yeah, I love all of these ideas. And by the time I actually started in the summer, I was so over half the ideas that I just came up with completely new ones. But the theming, I think, is good. I think the theming will keep me on track. And the intention, like, for Patreon, it was extra content, and it was just trying a bunch of different things, and it was also about products. For this, the intention for me is to have, like, the entertaining experience of it being themed to the cruise ship, but also the learning experience of being in a workshop. So, the videos aren't just like this. They're videos where I like teach something, and then the live workshop is, the live theme party is somewhere where you get to enjoy, and it's like an experience and hang out and to have fun. But it's also themed, and there's also a learning component to it. So that's what I'm excited to do as well. I love to learn by doing, but oftentimes it's hard because the doing videos are usually all really, really theoretical, and I just don't love that. I would love it if someone told me, hey, this is the page we're going to paint, and then along the way I was learning things as I was painting it, because then I'm doing it and then there's a practical application happening. It's like when I say I get new paints and I swatch them out, I sometimes I'll just make little squares real quick just to see what they are, but to get a real feeling for it, to actually learn how the paints work, I will use them. I will use them in a piece, even if I think it's not going to work or it could ruin it. That's why I'll set myself the intention of just making a piece just to play with all this stuff. Because I don't think there's any better way to learn than actually doing. But I find it difficult to find places, other than Art Journaling the Magic, where the techniques and the skills are learnt during the process of having fun. So that's something I like to keep my mind focused on, especially for like a scheduled experience like that. And let me see, I've got 3 minutes left. You're joking. Well, that's great. Maybe I put him here. Do I want a rabbit here? Yeah, I want a rabbit there. He popped out, why not? I can't believe I only have 3 minutes left. I for real thought I was going to click the screen and have like 20 minutes left. It's okay, I'm not happy to be leaving you, but I will be seeing a lot of you later today. And I'm excited to teach. So I'm going to get this all reset for Art Journaling the Magic Wizarding Artist Society, which, if you don't know about that, Art Journaling the Magic, please go and find out more about it if you've never heard of it before. Look at these old stickers. We love these old stickers. Art Journaling the Magic is just a group that I absolutely adore. And then Wizarding Artist Society is such a fun, imaginative and creative experience that if you're a fan of any kind of, you know, the wizarding world of Harry Potter, you might enjoy that. I guess this is so late to say, but everything I'm talking about is art journaling. Art and art journaling, I mean, to a lesser extent scrapbooking and planners, but only if you've crossed over to the dark side of mixed media. I should have mentioned that along the way. I'm sorry if that was super confusing. I love her. She needs to go somewhere good. There we go. Up here. Look at all these old stickers. A really cute idea for blending collage together is to stick things over the parts where the pieces meet, so it just doesn't look so pasted on top of each other like that. It kind of blends it together when you're connecting pieces over the edges. You can do it with paint, or, you know, paint pens, or even different patterns. Like if I wanted to grab, I don't know how well this will show up, but if I wanted to, where would I do this? Just here. Maybe make some of these dots with a paint pen. Go over both of these and just kind of connect it all. Even over some of the stickers. You can start to merge the layers together in a way that kind of gives the optical illusion that they're a little more flat. Or sometimes I'll even purposefully accentuate the edges with like some stitching lines. I think that's a fun effect as well. Where else could I do that? Let's do it here. This is so fun. I can't wait to journal in there. Whenever. In my wheneverly journal. Let me check that I'm still in frame and in focus. Oh, I don't know if I was there. Alright, thank you so much for joining me. My thing's gonna go off now. Was that the alarm? Oh no. It says 34 seconds. Well, my outro will be 30 seconds long. Thank you for joining me. Sorry about that squeaky chair. That's so annoying. I have to get that fixed. Listen to that. Thank you for joining me for this super laid back and casual chit chat video. Sorry if I said anything that was a little too off the cuff and candid. I know I was kind of being a little open there about Patreon. It was my own personal experience, and I have wrapped up all the experiences before. I have a whole Patreon recap video that even goes in to talk about like money and like the financial viability of Patreon and my expectations and what was good about it, what I didn't like about it. So I have recapped all of that stuff before, and I don't love to talk candidly too much about that because there are a lot of points that I have to be both sides for, and I think I get really stuck sometimes talking about well, I don't know if I get stuck on one side. I think my actual problem is sometimes I'm talking from the position of being a business owner who is working in this industry, and then sometimes I get stuck talking as the consumer who is also purchasing and contributing to this industry, with, ironically, the money I make from it. So it is a weird place where I have to try and play devil's advocate and play both sides, but sometimes I do forget to do that, and I will come in really hard and strong with like a business owner piece of advice that doesn't make sense to a consumer. So I'm super sorry if I said anything that seemed like it was just really irrelevant to your day. I mean, what are most of my videos, if not exactly that? But hopefully you had a good time, and I could hang out with you wherever you were and whatever you were doing today. I'm going to be on the Wizarding Artists Society chapter meeting later this afternoon. Oh, I'm really excited too because I'll give you a sneak peek. This is my new journal for this month. We have these really cute little folder journals. And my last month's one is complete. That was supposed to be the video today, but I never got around to finishing it. I didn't even edit it. I have lots of the last parts done, but I never filmed a flip. But this is my last month's video. My last month's journal. Isn't it so cute? I'm obsessed with it. All the spaces are full. So she's complete. And some of the ideas from this actually became what I'll end up teaching, the Blooming Sketches lesson. These are just some reference photos from Muggle Art Studies. Yeah, I really love this one. I'm so excited to have like multiples of these. So I'm gonna try and do one each month. So this is my May, and this will be my June. I don't know if I'll decorate this cover because it's already got some stitching on it. I'm okay with them all being like super different. I'm gonna have a whole library of these little kind of field notes folder journals that Tanji came up with. Super exciting class. Can't wait to see you there this afternoon if I'm going to see you there. Otherwise, I will see you at Virtual Voyage if I'm going to see you there. And if not, I'll see you on YouTube. Oh, I should have mentioned that after all of that. And I guess it kind of relates to the Patreon thing. After all of that, yes, I will still be posting publicly and for free. I think the one thing that is, I don't know, people get really upset about is that they feel like they're going to lose access to something that they've either been enjoying or they feel like has become a part of their routine. And you know, I've always said that as a part of my mission was to keep content accessible, and I don't expect that people should have to pay for every single offering that I have. I always want to make sure that there's something that you can access and have just as much fun. There's so many things I think in especially, I'll talk from me, but within my store that I don't think people need to purchase. And I always say this, like, you can live a great life without any of it. There's always at least something you can get on offer, especially on YouTube, not just my channel, but like millions of other channels out there that are willing to share what they know with you. And yeah, I remain committed to this upload schedule of every Friday. If something changes, I will announce on social media when that will happen. I know that through Mermaid, I did post a video late, but I did tell people that it was going to be late. So hopefully it kind of made up for the fact. I don't know if it really did, but ultimately I'm still committed to making sure that at least one video per week is available to you on YouTube, and that I've still been doing lots of live streams on Instagram, and I have my blog, obviously, for the replays of those videos if you want to see those. But yeah, I want to make sure that you know that I'm still very committed to that. It is a part of my mission statement, and I don't take it lightly. And the other things, I always explain this as like, you know, that's the business. There's the James that has the passion and that just loves to draw and create and share everything, and then and that's me. That's my own personal time, my own free stuff that I like to do, which I hope ends up on YouTube, because that's just kind of like I don't know, like a real more honest look where I feel like we can hang out and relate on that. And then the business side in me is that too, but it's packaged and it's for sale. And it's oftentimes done with a very different intention, and it's done specifically for business. So I take things more seriously with like deadlines, or with, you know, planning things out and making sure that things make sense and that they are as helpful as they can be. And there's a lot more planning and prep that goes into that stuff. And so that's the business side. But yeah, that I will always try to keep those separate, as separate as I can, just so that I'm not ever making you feel like you have to purchase into any of that. But I don't think people feel like that. I don't typically get that response. Ironically, most of the time that happened was on Patreon, so maybe I'll just leave it at that. Patreon has not been the most pleasant experience for me overall. I mean, it was. It just, I don't know why, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I think I need to unsubscribe from the mailing list, because they just come in really hard and fast with a lot of their marketing campaigns. I just don't know about it. Anyway. It's like Etsy. Like, Etsy has been good to me, but as soon as they started doing that extra stuff, which, by the way, I have managed to not be charged any of those off-site ads percentages yet. Like, no one's bought from any of the off-site ads, which people would usually be mad about, but I'm so thankful for, because then I get to keep the extra 10%, 15% or whatever it is. But yeah, so no one's purchased off of that. But like, so these, you know, Etsy and Patreon, I can't say they're inherently bad, but sometimes, you know, their business brain is a bit more involved than their the compassion they like to market with. I guess I could say that. Sometimes they're out here acting like charities, and I really just don't think that's true. But I am grateful for the experiences I had. They just, you know, I'm ready to move forward, I guess. And with that, I'm going to leave you. Thanks for joining me. I know that's more than 40 minutes, but I honestly, if you don't shut me up now, I could speak to you all day long about my experiences and my thoughts and opinions on everything, which I should probably think about before I speak openly about. Yeah, again, hopefully none of my opinions have rubbed you the wrong way today. If they have, please feel free to message me or reach out through email, and we can have a private conversation there. I don't have an issue with you posting anything in the comments below, but I don't moderate comments. So I won't delete anything, unless it's like absolutely horribly racist or something. But yeah, I get upset if people put stuff out there and then expect that I'm going to moderate it, just because your name is attached to it. And if you have a thought that maybe we could talk about privately that wouldn't, you know, that those words wouldn't linger with your name attached to them, I would rather you avoid that. Yeah. Anyway. What a weird thing to leave it on. Message me if you need to. I'm also at like weeks behind in responding to messages, so hopefully by the time we get to it, it'll be all clarified and good to go. But I will join you again soon, next week, in fact. Wow, where's this come from? Oh, this is on the sheet. I thought it was a free one. I thought it was on my desk. I will see you again next week on YouTube or Virtual Voyage, or this afternoon at Wizarding Artist Society. I am just everywhere. I'm a man about town today. See you later. Bye.